Morning, everybody. We'll get started in about 5 minutes. Good morning, Congressman. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Great.
Good to see you home. You in Louisville or you in DC?
I'm in Louisville.
Oh,
I'm here.
Good. At least you got stuck at home. We'll get started in probably like 3 minutes. We'll have the questions on the side. And yeah, we look forward to hearing from you today.
I have two staffers who will be on in the meeting as well, Christopher Schuler and Katie Rowley.
Okay.
And so I may reflect to them if I don't have the right answer, or they may interrupt me if I'm giving you the wrong answer.
It sounds like a plan.
Good morning, Representative Yarmuth. This is Kathy from the Prospect Area Chamber. I'm hoping we get to see Leo this morning walk across the screen.
You never know. I saw him, he was asleep on the bed, so he may make an appearance. So
Oh, cool. He stole the show the other morning.
he did.
Well, we appreciate you being here. I'm going to mute my button again.
Okay, good to be with you.
Congressman Yarmuth, can you see the questions on the side? Or are you, oh, you're on your iPad.
I'm on my iPad. Yeah.
Okay. Man, it's cold out here today. Wasn't expecting this. It's the only
chillier than
What's that?
little chillier than yesterday,
Yeah, no
the day before.
Yeah, we were out social distancing, taking batting practice with the kids. Today we're having to, this is why I'm outside, is they're home. It's a little noisier inside right now.
Hey guys.
Hey, Donna.
How are you?
Oh, just, enjoying this social distancing.
Donna's the president of our of the Prospect Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and let's get, I guess if we got enough people here, let's go ahead and get started. Do you have your crew here, John, or Congressman?
John works fine.
Thanks.
I don't know, they should, I think they were planning on coming on right about now, so it
Okay.
may not be.
All right, we'll give it a minute or so.
Am I recording? Stop video. Okay.
And Congressman Yarmuth, will you be sharing your screen at all?
Sharing the screen.
Yeah, will your team want to utilize the screen to be able to show any presentation or anything, or just is it just?
Oh, yeah, probably not.
That works for me.
All right.
Hey David, I'm not really as familiar with Zoom. When I hit start video, it video records it. But if I tell it to stop, then my picture don't show up. Should I leave that on?
Well, it's saying recording because I'm recording the call.
Oh, got it. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you do stop video, it shuts your video off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
you can change your view in the top right-hand corner so you can have a whole bunch of different views. You can see everybody or nobody. Anyone can feel free to share their screen or not share their screen, but share their video. If not, I'm more than comfortable. I have everybody on mute by default. And if you guys go on YouTube, you can watch a lot of funny Zoom videos of people taking calls in the bathroom and everything else like that. Not used to this format yet. So,
Did you see the one with the teacher and her husband ran out behind the video with his t-shirt and underwear on?
no, but I haven't seen that one yet, but I got something to look forward to after this call.
Oh.
All right. Well, it's 11 o'clock, and we all want to thank you guys for joining us today. Our featured speaker is Congressman John Yarmuth. He's of Louisville. He spoke with us previously with Spark the Ville. I'll take these out because they're not working. What we're going to do today is we had, quite a few things have been going on, especially as it pertains to Louisville business. This epidemic that's impacting all of us, hence why almost, I think everyone that I'm seeing right now is at home. It's kind of fun to look at everybody's backgrounds. But we want to make, Congressman Yarmuth was kind enough today to give us some time to be able to come on here and answer questions you guys may have. There was a pretty historic stimulus package that was agreed to on Friday that has stirred a lot of questions, and I'm not sure how. I mean, again, there's over 300 pages, and I think my brother-in-law is the only one who's read it so far. So it's a lengthy stimulus report. So if you guys have questions, feel free to come off mute and ask your question, or else if you would like to, I can ask the question for you. You can just type it in the chat. But we want everybody to be careful. Julie, be very careful. We know you're driving and Zooming, and we don't want anything bad to happen to anybody out there. So we got my mom on from Boston, invited her on. So we want everybody to come in here and feel free to make this time for you. And thank you again, Congressman Yarmuth, and when the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. And I've noticed just for the few people I can see that nobody's shaving this week, and I'm following that guidance as well. It's one of the silver linings. You can forget about things like that. I am bathing, though, I assure you. Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to be with you. We're obviously living through a very, very unique experience in our country, and one in which there's a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and also a lot of fear and uncertainty. And that's probably what is the thing we need to resolve first, is some of the uncertainty. And I don't know how we're going to do that, but as a country, psychologically, we've got to figure out how to get a little confidence that this is going to end at a certain point, and then we can all concentrate on getting back to whatever becomes normal then. So we recognize in the Congress, we have done taken three legislative steps over the last few weeks. The first bill we passed was an $8.5 billion bill that focused on the testing, getting people tested, making sure that nobody had to pay for the test, and then working on things like sick leave and family medical leave. And then the second bill was a $100 billion bill, and that was focusing on things like Medicaid, making sure that states had funding for Medicaid, which we knew was going to be an extra burden on the states. And then, of course, the last one last week was the $2.2 trillion bill that we call anything, a stabilization bill, a mitigation bill. But the idea behind it was to, first of all, get help to individuals who are suffering directly because of this. Those who have been unemployed, those who have been, who just have a need to get through the week and pay some bills and help their family survive. So that was done with two basic ideas. One was a direct payment. That direct payment, which you probably read about, is $1,200 for every adult, $500 for every child. Those payments will be sent out automatically if you file the tax return in 2017 or 2019. And if you have automatic deposit, it'll be deposited right to your account. If not, then there'll be a check sent to the address that the IRS has for you. Only qualification is you have, yeah.
When is that when is that supposed to be dispersed?
All right, Treasury says that the checks and deposits should be done within 3 weeks. That's their official line. I'm a little skeptical of that, but that's what they're saying. And then Social Security recipients are treated the same way. They will get $1,200, and those who are on disability, they will get $1,200 each, every adult. The only qualification is that you have to have a Social Security number, so undocumented immigrants are not eligible for that program. Or the $500 payment.
Faith નથી બતાવો.
You don't want to.
Nobody seems to know if that.
Yes, go ahead, man.
What? I'm sorry.
I muted them. I don't know if they meant to come off.
Oh, okay. So basically, college students, if they're dependents on their parents' tax return are not eligible for any payment. I've asked a bunch of my colleagues if they knew whether that was inadvertent or intentional. Nobody seems to know, but there is a piece of legislation that's already been introduced to correct that. Obviously, it would be anybody over 17 who's a dependent, not just a college student, but anyway, other than that, everybody is eligible who is a U.S. citizen. The second effort to help individuals was an expansion of unemployment benefits. So if you are unemployed, you're furloughed, first of all, you don't have to wait 7 days to get benefits. But the US government is adding $600 a week to the unemployment benefits that you get. So it's a very, very generous support from there. The idea was to get people as close to their actual income as possible. And so that's going into effect.
All right, Congressman. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead and do the second part, and then we're getting a bunch of questions coming in.
Okay. Well, let's stop with individual, and then we'll go to small business.
Okay.
So you have questions about individuals. Let's do that now.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the questions then. SSI aren't eligible?
They are eligible, yes.
Okay, the next one, CARE Act. Banks have no idea what to do with it. Who is advising them of the rules for their programs?
Okay. So,
fun with that.
All right, so the legislation set the basic programs. It gave SBA 15 days to come up with guidance on how the program is supposed to be implemented. And I think they're going to beat the 15 days, but they probably will have them by the end of this week. That's the best answer we can give. The banks don't know, but every bank has become eligible to make these loans. So you don't have to be a certified SBA lender in order to make the loans. I know the banks are getting pounded with questions, and SBA is getting pounded with applications. But The best thing to do is right now is we'll get it. We might as well get into the two biggest programs under small business.
Okay.
One is the forgivable loan. It's 250% of your average monthly payroll from last summer until March 1st. So it's about 8 months of 7, 8 months of payroll. You take your average, the loan, you're eligible up to 250% of that amount. And that amount includes things like the health insurance benefits you pay, all the sick time, vacation pay, all of those things get calculated into that number. Those loans are forgivable if you maintain that level of employment through the year. And the idea there is—
I thought it was 8 weeks. Is it through the year?
8 weeks is the amount of the loan.
Okay.
Okay, so I think, and I haven't seen that, I don't know if Katie knows or if Christopher knows what that, if it's the rest of the year or just through the 8-week period. But if you maintain that, your employment during whatever period it is, then that loan is totally forgiven. If you don't, the loan is up to a maximum of 10 years and a maximum interest rate of 4%. So it's still a very favorable loan, even if you don't maintain that level of employment. But you'd obviously have to pay it back at some point. The second one is called an emergency injury loan. And these are loans, basically, if your business has been decimated by, and I think it's 50%, your receipts are 50% lower than they were a comparable quarter a year ago, you're eligible for these loans. They're very low interest. And you also are eligible within 3 days of making an application for one of these emergency injury loans, you're eligible for a $10,000 grant within 3 days. So, and that's just a grant. So you never have to pay that back. So those are the two basic programs. There's some other things in the law. Somebody asked if Leo was making an appearance, and he is. Come here, Leo. Well, if he walks in front of the camera. There's another program where you can defer all of your employer's contribution of withholding. You can defer that for the rest of the year, and it's not, you don't have to pay it back till the end of, half of it to the end of 2021, half of it at the end of 2022. That may be of interest. But if you've taken what's called a PPP loan, which was the first loan I mentioned, that's the one for 4 months worth of salary, basically. That if you have a PPP loan, you can't avail yourself of that. There's also a refundable tax credit based on wages that some people might find they're eligible for. Again, if you've taken out the basic PPP loan, then you aren't eligible for that. These are, by the way, all on our website. We have on yarmuth.house.gov. All this information that I'm giving you is summarized on the website. But basically, to answer the initial question, all those implementation technicalities will be released. We hope by the end of the week, but it has to be within 15 days. So that would now be it would be a total of, if they don't get it out in the 15-day period, it would be about 10 days more. But all those guidances are coming out.
Okay, and so on your website, it has the breakdown of, I mean, again, it's for a 300-page document to be simplified. Would you?
It was 900.
900-page document to be simplified. Is that what you're saying is on your website right now? I mean, it's
no, these are
for a lot of us.
These are just summaries of the major provisions of the bill and who's eligible for them and so forth.
Okay. Do you have time? Can we go through some more of these questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. The next one, CARE Act bank. Oh, wait, we did with that one. What is the age cutoff for the stimulus money to apply? Is it 18 and over? Because one person's asking about stimulus money to apply to their 17-year-old.
No, it's up to 17. So if you're above the age of 17, that's that gap that I'm trying to get an answer for and that we're trying to fix. It may well be that Treasury comes out with a guidance and realizes that was a mistake. But the law specifically says up to 17, you get a $500 payment per child.
Okay.
And then adults who file their own tax returns, or don't file their own tax returns, but are not anyone's dependent, get the $1,200.
Okay, so the next one.
Anybody over 7 would get $1,200 unless they're listed on somebody's tax return as a dependent.
Okay. Okay, so that answers the next one. Will the parents of the college students over 17 claimed as a dependent be able to get the $500 for the college student? So that answers that.
That's right. They will under the current law unless Treasury interprets it differently.
Okay. The next one, what percentage of salary is paid by Kentucky Unemployment, and is it different for full-time or part-time or 1099 employees?
I don't know about what the Kentucky laws are.
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah, because people are wondering if, this qualifies for people that have employees, but they're 1099 employees. Will that Stimulus Care Act fall under those guidelines?
It's my understanding that anybody who is unemployed, whether it's a gig worker, whether it's an independent contractor, whatever, are covered by this unemployment provision. What they did was set up a new category of unemployment, and that's for those who are generally not eligible for unemployment benefits. So all the gig workers and all the independent contractors and freelancers and so forth, they are covered under this bill.
Okay. The next question is,
So you would have to go in. No, go ahead.
I thought you were being interrupted by the bird, and it's like right in my ear. Please tell us more about the SBA $10,000 disaster relief fund.
All right, so there's a loan program that is different from the PPP, the first one I talked to, which is designed to cover 4 months of salary. And this is for any operating expenses, any expenses in the business. And you're eligible for it if you have significant damage, like I think it's 50% of your receipts. You lost 50% of your business or more. And you apply for that. It's called an EIDL. And that loan, once you apply for that loan, it can be up to $2 million. Once you apply for that loan, you can immediately request a grant of $10,000. And that's the idea is you probably need some money right now. And that grant is supposed to be given to you within 3 days of your application for the EIDL loan. So it's part of the same program, emergency program, economic injury. But that loan, that $10,000 never has to be paid back. That's just a pure grant. And it's our understanding that if you get the grant or are not approved for the loan, you still don't have to pay the $10,000 back.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Comment from Jessica and I. Go ahead.
Oh, and you can apply for both the EIDL loan and for the PPP loan.
Okay.
Again, that's the 4-month wage thing. You can apply for both of those.
And where can you apply for both of those?
Both of them through the SBA.
Great. Comment from Jessica Naya from Colwell Bank and Trust. We, our banks, are working tirelessly to take SBA guidelines and apply them to the lending policy. The next one is from MJ Blanchard to everyone. Do single member LLCs file for unemployment? My business is my livelihood.
First of all, individual proprietors, I don't think the business structure makes any difference. I may be wrong about this, but this is my understanding. The business structure doesn't make any difference. Individual proprietors are eligible for these programs.
Okay.
And And they should be eligible for the unemployment, again, through this new category of unemployment that they've created.
Okay. And again, sorry to Jessica, it's Commonwealth Bank. But Bruce Kerwin is asking, with Kentucky unemployment of up to $415 plus federal unemployment of $600, some people will be taking in unemployment at a rate of $52,780 a year, which could be more than they were making at their job. Do you see this as a problem?
Yeah, the question is whether that $600 is a flat fee or it's up to $600. And that I'm not sure of. Yeah, you don't want to get people more money than they would have otherwise earned. No question about that.
Okay, good question. Okay, and then Kathy followed up with not for C6s. I don't know where she was going with that.
Okay, that's like trade associations.
Yep. I don't know.
Or for instance, the Prospect Chamber of Commerce. Those are not covered. Those are not covered in any of the programs. That's right.
Okay.
501c3 nonprofits are, but not trade associations.
Okay. So nonprofits are covered, because there was a slide yesterday in the SBA that said nonprofits in some aspects were not covered.
Well, trade associations would be not covered. And also if you have more than 500 employees, you would not be covered.
Okay.
You'd be eligible for another big program the Treasury Department is administering.
Okay. What about small business that does not have employees other than the owner? Do they qualify?
Yes, they qualify.
Okay.
Individual proprietorships do.
My dad was full-time employed. Now he's laid off for not sure how long. Can he apply for the unemployment benefits?
Yes.
Okay. How is the 250% of average monthly payroll calculated for new employers? I hired my first full-time W-2 employee in November 2019.
In November. Well, I think if I remember yeah, this is on our website, so you can check it out.
Yep.
I think it would be what your payroll was from January 1st until February 15th or something like that. So there would be a way of calculating it. It's just a shorter period of time.
Okay. No, it's good to know. That impacts me. My employees are filing for unemployment. How does the SBA handle this? If we get coverage, what happens to the unemployment?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question.
So my employees are filing for unemployment. Okay, so they have, this person has employees and they're filing for unemployment. How does the SBA handle this? If I were to get coverage, what happens for the people that applied to unemployment? Does he have to bring them back on and they have to stop doing unemployment?
It would depend on when they were laid off. The starting date is, my understanding, the starting date for the employment calculation under that first PPP program is March 1st. So it's whatever your payroll was on March 1st, that's the amount you have to sustain.
Okay.
So so if you laid somebody off in January or February, that would not be calculated in the base of what you have to sustain.
Okay, so the next question we had is that a nonprofit, if we reduced our teachers to half pay, are we still eligible for the forgivable loan since they were not furloughed? Sorry.
I believe that's a tricky one. I'm not sure I have an answer. Katie, you have an idea on that?
This is Christopher Schuler. I was just going to jump in. Yeah, so specific to the point that you asked about earlier with the terms, the federal government will forgive the loans in an amount equal to the amount of qualifying costs spent during an 8-week period after the origination of a loan. That would be forgiven so long as the employer does not reduce its workforce during the 8-week period compared to prior periods, or reduce the salary or wages paid to an employee by more than 25% during the 8-week period. And the time frame of that Any reduction of the amount of loan forgiveness would be completely avoided if the employer rehires all employees laid off going back to February 15th, or increase their previously reduced wages no later than June 20th, 2020. So that's the time frame that you would have to operate within, but there's that 25% level that you need to at least remain above, if that's helpful.
Okay, thank you. And tourism CVBs are not covered. SPGEs? Question mark.
I'm not sure what those initials mean.
If it makes you feel better, I didn't either. Kim, if you want to come off mute, feel free to ask your question. We'll move to the next one. Maybe she'll get back to us. Let's see here.
That's convention and visitors bureaus, tourism offices,
Okay.
like Louisville Tourism, Oldham County Tourism, Bardstown Tourism, any relief for the tourism industry in general. Because most of us are C6s.
Yeah, well, C6s are not included. There is some interest in changing that in a subsequent piece of legislation, but as of the way this bill is written, C6s are not covered.
That would be something just to point out that would be good to look at, considering the smaller CVBs, not Louisville, not Lexington's, the much smaller ones. If we can survive the next couple of months, we'll be lucky. So that would be something to consider, since they put CVBs in as SPGE, small purpose government entities, and made us C6. So I know a lot of tourism offices have had to lay off all their people already because we're funded by the hotel tax. And we know most of those are empty.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, there was a lot of interest in including them, and it may be in the next piece of legislation, which is going to be fairly quick, I think.
Thank you. Okay, well, and then the next one is, when payroll is considered for the PPP, are part-time employees included in the calculation?
I believe so.
Okay. And then as a single owner of an LLC, am I eligible to apply for SBA grant only?
Individual proprietors can apply, yes.
And Tavia, if you'd like to come off mute, she has a question she'd like to ask.
All right, let me try. Hi there, can you hear me?
Yeah, hear you fine.
Okay, great. Thanks for being here for us today, by the way. I run a nonprofit with about 10 employees, and I was the one who asked the question earlier. We have a school, and we are paying our teachers half pay. This is our third week during spring break. We follow the Oldham County school calendar. So my question is, if we either make it retroactive and reimburse them for full pay, or start full pay starting immediately, our school year won't end until the end of May. So I would be paying them full pay for more than the 8-week period, I believe. And the 8-week period is all that will be forgivable. Otherwise, the extension, we would just have to take a loan out. Is that correct?
If you don't maintain the level of employment, it becomes a loan up to 10 years, maximum interest rate of 4%. But it does become a regular loan. It's a very favorable loan, but
yeah, that's wonderful. And then we can
right.
just figure out the calculations when we file for the SBA loan about what you already stated around the health insurance and all of those things that we offer.
Right.
And the SBA site will step us through that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Absolutely.
All right, let's take a step back for that for 1 second, and we'll go back to that, MJ. But I wanted to ask, what information are you getting on length of time, on seeing when some of these? I mean, we keep hearing about flattening the curve, and we watch all different press conferences from our president to Andy. I'm just trying to find out what you're hearing as to when you'll start seeing some of this dissipate. How long do you think we're in for?
Okay, the only way, obviously, there's no way to know. I would give you, I think we're probably looking at the outside of mid-July. And the most optimistic scenario, probably middle of May, June 1st.
Okay. And during
So
those,
another 6 weeks would be probably the shortest period of time, and up to again, middle of July.
okay. And so with that, the other question I had was about testing. We keep seeing that now we have the country with the most positive tests, and I don't think we truly know how many tests. I mean, my father-in-law tests for Norton's, and we're not seeing the results yet back. Now, are you seeing anything with a quicker test that's going to be coming through that will allow us to get faster results of who is positive and who is negative?
Right. So Abbott Labs just announced day before yesterday, they have a test that takes about 15 to 45 minutes. And it's a test that can be administered at the point of care. So the hospitals would have them, presumably emergency care centers and so forth. How fast they're going to be able to deliver them, I don't know. They've already delivered some, but you're talking about probably millions that we're going to need to reach everybody, at least hundreds of thousands. So, but this will be a huge advance, because again, people who show up at the hospital, they can be tested when they present themselves, and if they're not positive, they can go home, and that takes a lot of stress off the hospitals.
And do you have any messaging for people that you're seeing out? I mean, as we're still going through all this, we're still seeing people going out and still seeing people, it's almost selfishly going out and being around a bunch of other people. Do you have any messaging for that? I'll give you a softball.
Don't do it. What we're seeing just within the last few days is some very positive signs. In Seattle, which has basically been locked down, they're seeing a lot of progress. Even in New York, the pace of people coming to the hospital testing positive has seemed to level off a little bit. We've had a huge impact in Kentucky. I mean, when you look at a state of 4.5 million and we have fewer than 1,000 positive tests so far, that's really working. And then you contrast it with Tennessee, which has not been as diligent about this, and they have far more cases than Kentucky does. So it makes a difference. We're seeing a difference, but you're only in danger if you're out doing that. You're actually endangering your own family and friends if you're doing that. So it's counterproductive. And I think the biggest mistake is to believe that it only affects older people. That's a huge mistake. There are plenty of cases. I think in New York, 40% of the cases were people 18 to 54. So it's not something that's just senior citizens. The severity is much greater among senior citizens or people with pre-existing conditions, but there are 30-year-olds who have died in the last few days. So don't play around with it.
Do you think there'll be mandatory testing?
I would say that's probably unlikely, but not impossible, but I think it's unlikely.
Okay.
I think before we get to that, there will be, enough, they call herd immunity, which is when enough people catch the virus and develop an immunity to it, that the spread of it will be severely diminished, seriously diminished, and then mandatory testing would not be, certainly it wouldn't be efficient at all. It would be probably overkill.
All right, we're getting a bunch more questions. Here we go. You ready? Is there a direct website for the grant? Is there a direct website for the grant?
No, that's just through SBA. It's all through the SBA.
Okay.
Now, they may within the next few days decide to implement it a different way, but as of now, they're saying everything goes through SBA.
Are daycares and preschools through churches or religious organizations covered by SBA loans, I mean?
It is my understanding that they are, yes.
I'm still confused as far as the loan period for the forgivable program. Can you give a little bit more clarification? of what is forgivable?
The information that we have is that it's up to a 10-year loan if you don't have the loan forgiven. Now, I think what Christopher was saying was that it's forgiven after 4 months. You only have to maintain that for 4 months, and then it's forgiven after that. I know you have to apply to have it forgiven, but it's forgiven. If you got it now, it would be whatever 8 weeks from now is.
Okay. For the PPP loans, does SBA look at personal credit of owners, or do they look at business credit, i.e. Dun and Bradstreet scores? Are there credit factors that could disqualify a business from attaining this loan?
All of the information we have is that they are not going to scrutinize these loan applications the way they normally do. That's as much guidance as I have on that. They know they can't do that. The volume is going to be too great, and they don't have the personnel to do that.
Okay.
But I suspect that I suspect they would check at least a credit bureaus, but I don't. Again, that's all I can tell you. I risked saying something that might be totally wrong, but again, they've said there will not be the same scrutiny on these loans. They want to get them out the door. They want the whole strategy behind this provision was to tie employees to their company rather than put them out, rather than have them unemployed, so that when we resume somewhat normal business conditions, that the company would be ready to go because their employees would be still tied to the company.
Okay. Question on the payment deferment for both types of loans. Please confirm. PPP, 12 months, EIDL, 6 months?
Now, the EIDL loan is, let's see. The PPP loan is, if you don't get it forgiven, is up to 10 years. I guess that's between you and your bank, but it's the way the law reads is up to 10 years. The EIDL loan is, no, it's 4% interest rate, maximum of 4%. No, I'm sorry, PPP is a maximum of 4%. The EIDL, I'm not sure of the duration, but it's longer than 6 months. Christopher, Katie, you have an answer for that?
I'm trying to just make sure I have guaranteed word before I say anything, but give me one moment and I will get you the numbers on those and report back.
All right, we'll jump back to that. If someone is a stylist who rents space in a salon and is still required to pay it, can she file for an SBA loan also due to the loss of clients and tips?
She's an independent contractor. I don't think she can apply for the loan if she's not the business owner, but she can apply for the special unemployment program.
Okay. You said we could apply for both loan programs, but we are only eligible to receive one, correct?
No, EIDL and PPP, you can have both. There are some other provisions deferring withholding tax payments and a couple other things that you can't utilize if there's a refundable tax credit for a certain level of employment, and then deferring your withholding taxes. Those two you cannot avail yourself of unless if you take a PPP. But you can have PPP and an EIDL.
Okay. Has anything been done about student loan debt? Kentucky Higher Education Authority?
All that's been done with student loan debt so far is a 6-month moratorium on payments. So if you have a student loan, you don't have to make a payment for the next 6 months, and there is no interest accrual. So you basically get a 6-month holiday. There's a bill that's being introduced that hopefully would go into the second package that has a dramatic cut in the interest rate. So right now, most Stafford loans made by the government are 7%. Government's borrowing money now for less than 1%. So there's no point in that's kind of usurious interest at 7. So they want to cut the interest rate at least in half on the student loans, and then some kind of loan forgiveness program. That's a little dicier, and then the ability to refinance the loan. And so there is going to be a student loan package in a student loan provision in the next package. Those are what things that are being considered. But right now you can defer all your payments with no penalty and no interest accrual for 6 months.
Kim, did you have a question? I see your hand is raised.
I just had a comment on that. I think people don't realize when people talk about student loan debt in government, I don't think people realize the impact of that when I'm 49 years old and have $32,000 in student loan debt and my interest is 8%, and it can't be lowered. So it's not always the people trying to get out of paying student loans. It's not that as much as it is lowering the interest rate. So it's good to hear that something's being done about the interest rate because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous, particularly again, since the government's borrowing money a lot at almost nothing. But I will say one thing, members of Congress are very much aware of the student loan problem.
I don't mind saying my student loan payment is $330 a month. That's craziness.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank everybody who keeps sharing links. Christopher shared some links on the small business guidance loan resources. Anyone who's been posting links, thank you. The next one is a comment. I believe the CARE Act is very well thought out to keep employees involved in their present job and shows goodwill for the employers. So I wanted to share that one. If people have already been laid off in the last 2 weeks, what can a business do to qualify? Will rehiring them qualify us?
I'd have to check on that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and that's going to be one of the guidances that'll come out this week.
Okay. And do we have any idea what time frame would be from the date of applying for PPP and receiving the loan?
We don't. But I would get in as quickly as you can. This is going to be a first come, first serve, and I guarantee you that they're going to have to find some more money because $350 billion is not going to be enough. So don't wait. Get an application in to SBA as soon as you can.
Okay. All right.
You're not committed to taking it if you change your mind. So you might as well get in there and request it now.
Can people apply for the emergency 10,000 without applying for the other 2 loans?
No, you have to apply for the EIDL loan, and then as soon as you apply for that, you ask for the grant, and that 10,000 should come in 3 days. But you have to apply for the EIDL. Again, you don't have to accept the EIDL, and even if you apply for the EIDL, you take the $10,000 grant, then you decide you don't want it, or if you are turned down for it, then you still get to keep the $10,000 and you don't have to pay that back.
Okay.
So it's kind of foolish not to apply for it.
Okay. I think we're caught up on questions. Christopher, you want to jump back in? Uh-oh. Is he ready?
Yeah, I just wanted to unmute. So the terms of and this is so on the Congressman's website at yarmuth.house.gov, the main page, it'll be the first slide that pops up, but it's also our coronavirus page. So yarmuth.house.gov/coronavirus. We have a small business owner's guide to the CARES Act that we put together sort of in coordination with the House and Senate small business committees to take their expertise, like you both, the Congressman said, and like you said, boil down this 900-page bill into as many hard facts as possible. So within that, we have an explainer of the Paycheck Protection Program loan process, some frequently asked questions, and then the Small Business Debt Relief Program, and then the EIDLs, the Economic Injury Disaster Loans. Specific to the question asked earlier, the PPP loan terms, for any amounts not forgiven, the maximum term is 10 years, as the Congressman said, and the maximum interest rate is 4%. So there's zero loan fees, zero prepayment fees, and the SBA will work with lenders that charge fees to cap things. So everything will be specific to the loan terms that you and the lenders agreed to, but we're working to get as much information as possible. So we put together this PDF on the website. I'm gonna, as we learn more and as these agencies, specifically SBA, release more guidance on how these programs work and how they exist in the current existing 7A loan program, we're going to update these sheets as often as possible. So what I can do is I need to update the website. I just added the small business explainer last night, but we're going to work to get as much information as possible out there. I will also say Senator McConnell's office has a resource page as well. And I've been in communications with them to make sure that, you know, the information that they're sharing, that we can work together to get this out as far and wide as possible. We've been working with them throughout the start of this ordeal to try to get as much information out as possible. So I'm still working to track down the EIDL loan terms. I know that the payments can be deferred for up to a year, but interest does accrue over that time. So again, it would all be very specific to the individual loans that businesses are seeking, but I will work to get that information and get it over to you guys as soon as I can. And but the local SBA office and the SBA, as you go through the application process, they'll be the best resource as this guidance is released. They've promised us that they'll work to assist people along the way, and our office is here to help as well. So I'll work on getting that information for you here shortly. I was trying to Google and also respond to things here as best I can, but we'll make sure that we get that information out as we can. Yeah,
we recognize this is all new information, so we appreciate the fact that you're trying to get through as much as you can. So go ahead. We have a bunch of new ones. Quick question off the top of my head. I mean, how long do you guys see this? What is the long-term ramifications? I see some of this is short-term to get things going now, but how long is this? I mean, how long is this going to take to recover? I mean, I mean, right now we're throwing, money at this to keep, I understand it's to keep people working and everything else like that, but how long do you see the impact of this impacting our country?
At least a couple of years, be my guess.
Yeah. All right.
It depends on what we do. The president apparently today proposed a $2 trillion infrastructure program. If that ends up being implemented, that could speed up recovery because that would put a lot of people to work and create a lot of economic benefit. But I'd say, I would say it'll be close to the recovery period for the financial crisis.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like, where's that money coming from? I mean, at some point, you're gonna, if we're, shelling out all trillions of dollars, that debt is just gonna keep going and going and going. So,
yep.
All right, here's some new questions. Let's see here. If we receive assistance now, and this goes on into June or July as stated, will we have to repeat the process of applying again, or will additional funds be available on our current approval?
If we're in no better shape in terms of employment and business activity by midsummer, I suspect there will be a similar support program at that point. And I wouldn't think you'd have to reapply, but who knows? I can't predict that.
Okay.
Although I think it's likely if this continues, if we're not back to some semblance of normal business activity by midsummer or by August, then I think there'll be another round of support.
Okay. For sole proprietorships, does the business have to show anything has been filed with the state to show they are in business in order to file for the EIDL. This person does have proof of paid invoices for his business.
Yeah, I think that, again, this will be in the guidance, but that you'll have to show some kind of receipts to show that you actually are a business. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. With the multi-trillion-dollar creation of more U.S. dollars to bail out all too big to fails again, like we did in 2009, are you and others in Washington looking at converting to a new digital form of currency for the U.S. dollar? Interesting.
I haven't heard that one, but I think there might be some changes made with currency down the road, depending on the severity but obviously if for some reason the U.S. currency was not the world currency, then you never know. But as long as I think people like Jay Powell at the Fed and others understand that as long as we have a sovereign currency and that we can figure out how to make this work. I mean, he's talking about another few trillion dollars if necessary, and he's ready to put the money out. But obviously it could devalue the dollar, but except the entire world's in pretty much the same shape. So there may be kind of everybody, maybe a dollar 2 years from now will be worth what $5 are worth today. You could get that kind of revaluation.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice seeing the gas prices go down. That's been a nice treat. I think somebody posted on Facebook the other day. I think it was Bruce, 82 cents. So guys, a couple things I wanted to say is that this is a shameless plug for the Prospect Area Chamber of Commerce, but for $200 for a year, we bring these type of programs. We recommend you guys joining. Kathy, if you have this information, we'll be sharing a lot of this, and we'll be putting this on YouTube for people to be able to go out and watch again who couldn't join us today at 11. If you guys have other questions, we want to make sure that we start wrapping up because we want to be respectful of your time. One of the things that I was asked is, can we please restate if you would advise going directly to our banks for the PPP or start at the SBA site was one of the last questions we have.
Yeah, I think you have to go to the SBA first, and then you go to your bank. Again, every bank now is eligible to do it. You don't have to be, so you can go to your regular bank for the actual loan. But yeah, I think you have to apply to the SBA first.
Okay. Well,
your bank may be able to help you do that. I would think that most banks would be able to help you walk through it.
Okay. Excellent.
And there are somewhere that there's actually some money in the bill to do counseling on this. So if you can't figure it out yourself, and I certainly probably couldn't figure it out myself, get in touch with our office here at 582-5129, and that's 502, of course. And our people will help direct you to resources.
That's your personal cell phone?
Yeah, yeah, that's the Louisville office, and to help you, we'll direct you to resources to help you navigate it.
Yeah, guys, if you don't have a financial advisor now too, that's a great time to start looking at one. Financial advisors can really help you through a lot of this and provide you some counsel. So if you don't have one, look into getting one.
Yeah.
Hey, David?
I would say just one more thing. I would say one thing that I think is universally true. Every small business should be able to take advantage one way or another of the provisions in this bill. So don't think, well, if you're doing fine, don't think that there's not an advantage to looking at this, because again, even if it's just deferring your withholding at no penalty, your payroll tax payments till the end of the year, there's a benefit in here that will help.
All right, thank you. And Kathy, did you have something?
Right, David, can I Can I say something? Yeah, I just want a shameless plug for chambers all over. I know that quite a few throughout the nation already have had to lay off their staff, especially the smaller chambers. Like we are, we have micro businesses. We don't have corporations. We have, the mom and pop shops. Our purpose is to support business. So if we don't have people in those offices to support them, it's just not good for the whole community. So if you can do anything to get the C6s covered as far as membership orgs like tourism and chambers, I mean, I don't know what else to say. We're sitting okay right now, but if it goes on, months and months, we're going to have to make a tough decision as well. And it just, I don't know. So I guess I'm just a shameless plug trying to get the C6s covered. So I appreciate all you're doing. I appreciate you taking the time to come speak with us. And we'll put all these links on that we can. Just be very patient because it's just me and my wonderful board that helps out. So thank you all that are on here, that are on the board or have served on the board. But we really appreciate you taking your time and speaking with us today.
It's a pleasure. Again, that's part of my job, but this is the time when we all really have to look out for each other, because it's not a cliche that we're all in this together. There are very few people who aren't sacrificing or not paying a price for this crisis.
All right, we're going to end on a cool one. So what has been the coolest thing that you've seen from this coronavirus, that you've seen, like a positive story that you could share of things that you've seen that's come from all this?
Well, I've been in my house most of the time, so because I was quarantined for 2 weeks, starting around the when was it, 7th of March, 8th of March, because I was around someone who tested positive. But the ones I've read about are the ones that that I think are so compelling. When stories about when people who were desperately looking for toilet paper or whatever they're looking for, and people would just say, "Here, take mine. I'll deal with it." And a lot of acts of kindness and compassion in that category.
Excellent. Well, we thank you all for coming. We thank you, Congressman Yarmuth, for taking the time, and your staff for coming on here. This has made you've answered quite a few questions. We're recording this, so we'll have this shared out to everyone. But thank you so much for joining us again. It's a pleasure to see you, and stay healthy.
Good to see you. Stay healthy, everybody. That's right. Take care.
Thank you all.
Stay healthy. Thank you.
Thanks.
It's been great, guys.
Thanks, everyone.